The time's come to play here in my garden of
Hello, I'm Runia, aka Media Adaptation, and welcome back to Moderation while we use for a game. And it's Friday, so that means it's time once again to talk about the supposedly lost 80s style anime, Go for a Punch, aka Saki Sanobashi. And it's been a very interesting past couple days in our search. So first, let's start off with Reddit, which is kind of imploding at the minute. Apparently, someone posted their account of Saki, but it got hit with a LARP tag, basically calling it made up and not worth looking at. The issue people seem to be having is that the same thing happened in the Clockman search, as a lead that eventually helped led to its discovery got buried and was overlooked for many years. As you guys know, one of the bases for these videos have been that I feel like all leads must be given a fair chance, no matter how unlikely they seem. I have not read the original post in question, so I can't comment on the validity of their claim. If anyone actually has the link to their thing, please post it down in the comments below, and I'll check it out in our next one. There have also been a handful of people doing their best to try and keep the site together, like Hamararochi, who's made a post debunking the Brazilian forum thread, which apparently they just used some old anime that we covered before, like Gaku no Yori and Dream Hunter Ren. He also made another post to try and get everyone on the same page, and made a 13-point discussion about everything that we know as of yet, and how to move forward from here.
I think you might be showing favoritism.
What makes you say that?
Point 12 on the list calls people to watch our videos on this subject.
I can neither confirm nor deny your outlandish claims, Ada. But anyway, let's move over to our Discord server and check out things there. And they kind of have found a big lead. Well, potentially anyway. An Indonesian dubbing company called Anime Botch has claimed to have a video matching Saki's description. A follow-up email has been sent, so more information about that as we get it. But sadly, due to time zones and the language barrier, it took about 9 days to get the first reply. So we still may be waiting another week before we get more info on it. And in other news from there, they've just had their third interview with people who have claimed to have seen it in the past. Again, this is more a way to keep written accounts to compare and find patterns between their stories. And one of the interesting questions this time was, they asked about the OP's thing about Miyazaki eyes, which isn't really that descriptive, or even a real answer, as his art style changes drastically depending on which anime he's working on at the time. But he's claimed that the type from Princess Mononoke seemed to be the best fit from what he remembers. This also comes from someone who's been trying to find it again, so it doesn't feel like a troll. But he also gave his account as well, which goes as followed. So, during the break of either 2016 or 2017, I watched a scary theater video about a hoax that spread around the paranormal message board in 4chan. I think the video was either about the grifter or the fake Area 51 alien images. Either way, I got the idea to check out that board and see if there was anything interesting on it. After scrolling over a few posts, I saw one with two images. The first image was of an anime girl lying on the floor in the bathroom, or a locker room, with very lightly pink, almost cream-colored tiles. She wasn't naked. She had on a white-colored shirt, but it appeared to be ripped or damaged, and her skin was scratched up, as if she clawed at herself. Her head was lying in a pool of blood, with a giant head wound and blood pouring out of it. There were chunks of something at the puddle. Her hair was short, dark-colored, and her eyes were dark as well. Her pupils were looking up, showing mostly the white parts of her eye. Her expression was, as I would describe, desperate. As if she was screaming for help, or something before she died. The details were well done, but it didn't clash with the art style. It looked professionally done, or at least as if it wasn't some random guy who decided to sit down and draw some screwed up gore scenes. The second wasn't as graphic. It was just an image of the puddle of blood on the same tiled floor, from a top-down view. The blood seemed to have been drawn in lazily, as if someone else drew it. There was a caption on this one, which said Sabi, in either parentheses or brackets. I didn't read the text because I was kind of fixated on the image itself. It was really detailed and graphic image. And at the time, I found it to be so distressing that I closed the tab and went to go pet my dog, which is something I used to do whenever I saw something scary, or just screwed up. That was a few years ago nowadays. I probably could have seen that image and not had such a reaction, but it is what it is. As a Redditor commented in my original post, there wasn't a lot of gory stuff on that board, which is why I started to wonder if it was actually posted on X, and not one of the other boards that I found by accident. Anyway, I've been looking to see if I could find the original post on my browser history, but no luck. It was an old computer, and it was on Firefox. I had forgotten what I'd seen until I saw Blame It on Georgie's recent video, which talked about it. When I heard about Saki, I remembered the post and realized I should probably share what I saw, in case it helps the search. Again, more details about this event as they come to light. And with that out of the way, let's check out some of your anime suggestions for this week. And the first one is 3x3 Eyes. Hey, I don't make these names. Made in 1991. And it's about an alien race trying to find a statue to do a ritual to resurrect their Dark Lord. You know, plot cliché number 29. We join a girl named Pai, who tracks down the son of someone who helped her, named Yakumo. But she's not fully human, as, like the title suggests, she has the third eye, one that comes with its own personality. Someone took her staff and accidentally released her pet, without a leash, and the demon bird ends up killing Yakumo. But, seeing an opportunity, the eye then takes his soul into her, which then makes him an immortal zombie, a fact that they will use throughout the show's runtime, as we see him constantly die and get mutilated, only for him to pull himself back together. So the plot basically boils down to traveling the globe and trying to find all the pieces of the statue. But some of these encounters, namely the one from the second OVA, get very brutal, as one of his schoolmates gets possessed by a fish demon and is slowly tortured, to the point where you wonder how much blood could she possibly have left.
She's almost dead.
She's dead enough.
One of the things this anime gets right is the eventual relationship between our two mains. It's never front and center, but it grows naturally over time, which makes the final OVA even more of a kick to the nuts. The last of the villains that they come across turns out to be a zombie servant of the one who was sealed away, meaning that he's basically like Cell from Dragon Ball, able to constantly regenerate. So he offers them a deal: hand over the statue, and he'll let her friends live, while outright rejecting it at first. Later, the group finally gets to settle down and celebrates finally getting the statue. But afterwards, she slips away into the night, to meet him alone. Our guy finds her staff left in her room, realizing that what she plans to do, and desperately tries to chase her down, cause fighting him alone is basically suicide. But as soon as he gets almost there, she detonates herself, taking him with her. And that's how the original run of the show ends. They did make a follow-up later, but I haven't really seen it. But this is a very bitter way to close it out. And the counter to that story, we have the likes of Angel Sanctuary from 2000. And I'm still trying to connect the dots with this one. There was a war in heaven, and an angel turned against the other ones. But she was sealed away and then reborn as immortal. The angel's brother wants to resurrect her, because he's in love with her, even though the last time she tried to kill him. But incest must run in the family. Oh, and I didn't really mean that as a double entendre. As the person that she's sealed within wants to bang his sister. Oh, and you want more trippy stuff? There is a demon who looks like Merrick Ishtar from Yu-Gi-Oh!, who is voiced by Ash Ketchum. And his hometown of Hell was destroyed because of pollution. What? Nothing in this stupid anime makes sense. The only reason that we decided to do this one because it has some scenes of blood and violence in it. This anime ends with the other angel killing the human sister, which awakens the angel within him, who then one-shots his sorry ass. I hope your plan lived up to all your expectations. And then her brother allows himself to die so he can go to hell to find the soul of his sister. But wait, wasn't hell destroyed by pollution? You know, let's just move on to some adult animations and try to find a competent story somewhere in there. And continuing our look at 1985. And the first one on the list is called Pero Pero Candy. And I could say it at least has a plot, even though completely basic. A guy is desperately lonely.
You mean like you?
Not now, Ada. So, his dog hooks up with another dog whose owner is equally desperate. And we also get the beginning of the what the fuck censorship laws in Japan. So, if you ever want to see a sausage get it on with a flower, then consider yourself lucky, I guess. Anyway, on to our next one called Omi 1. And it's about a girl who's part of a futuristic science secret organization. So she gets all the top-line gear, like a bikini battle armor. And a dildo dagger that gets bigger when you stroke it. Because of course it does. And she has to break into an evil lair to rescue another female operative. But the two get caught, so someone else has to save her. And then the budget for the anime just kind of runs out. You quite literally have one frame animation trying to pass off like a climactic battle, with some of the characters who are supposed to be fighting, well, as indicated by the sound effects, but they barely move. There is a second part that is just as worse, as the next villain turns out to be a pixelated tentacle monster, which is strange as you can get away with something like that in a Shin Megami Tensei game, but just not here. And the thing just yeets itself out a window. Oh, and they expand her arsenal with a slow-moving dildo smoke rocket. That is a sentence I just had to say. Oh, and on top of that, and just because, her dildo sword can now shoot out a white substance that traps enemies. But after use, the blade goes limp on you, and no amount of stroking will ever get it up.
Again, are you speaking from personal experience?
I'm just going to try my best to ignore that. But it's a lot like the first one, with someone else coming to save them, and then shoving an explosive down its throat. And the last one of these today is called Punky Funky Baby, which is the third part of the Little Mermaid series, and the only one out of the set to not get a re-release. I guess the reason for that could be that one of the members of the biker gang has a striking resemblance to a guy from Akira, and having him as a potential rapist could send the wrong signals to other companies. They escape from them, but then get captured by Blue Wolf people, who then have their way with them, which is our first case of anthropomorphic creatures. They then break out of the room and steal what they think is a gun, but it only shoots ooze. And then the anime just kind of ends. So, nothing much is learned. And like always, let's end this video with a few horror manga. And we'll start by continuing our look at Junji Ito. And every time I say his name, people constantly say I pronounce it wrong, no matter which of the ones I use. Anyway, this story is called The Sound of the Grass. And it's a rather short one, with a pair of high schoolers out in the woods by themselves. The guy tries to put the moves on her, but she shoots him down. They then hear a sound behind them, and go to check it out, only to find a woman hanging from a tree. They try to see if she's still alive, but they notice that the corpse has begun to rot, so she's been there for quite some time. But no idea what made that sound. They can't figure out how she killed herself, as there's no place for her to have jumped off of, and climbing the tree seems unlikely. And again, they hear that sound, but still nothing as to the cause of it. He contemplates cutting her down, to at least give her some last rites, but then notice that she's now facing them, and again, they hear that sound. And then something falls from the body, but again, there's nothing to be seen on the grass below. The sound repeats, as well as the falling from the corpse, and then the two decide to just run for it, and all the time, the woman remains facing them. This one doesn't really have much of an ending, well, a lot like last week's as well, but I guess it's more the unknown or the unsolved that remain within this world. And now it's time for our next part of our modern stories that we've been following. And this one is called The Euthanasia Facility. We join a girl named Nara who has gotten bullied in school. Her parents died a while back, and she's living with her aunt and uncle. but it's been less than ideal. So she plans on just killing herself, but then bumps into a girl with a weird-shaped mouth, who tells her about a place that can help people like her. A place where you can pass on peacefully. You check into the facility, and after a week waiting period, you can pass on. So she told her guardians that she'd be over at a friend's for the week, and then checks in. The cost of the room and board, as well as the food, is covered by the state. So the time left is given so people can sort their affairs. Which, being a kid, she doesn't really have much, and finds the wait needless. So she spends most of her time sleeping in her room. And then finally, it was the big day. In only a few hours, it will all be over. So to pass the time, she goes out for a walk, and then bumps into a friend from school, Yuko, who's been worried sick, along with her aunt and uncle. It then dawns on her of how much of a mistake that she has made. So she rushes back to call it off, which they'll gladly do, if she can pay the cost for her time at the facility, which is far more than she possibly can. Every action has a cost, and a responsibility that goes along with them. To simply jump off a bridge would take no thought at all. To blindly decide to end your own life without even trying to fix the problem in the first place. The price is set so high so people can't abuse the system. You were supposed to come here with the resolve to see things through. But you didn't. You just blindly followed along without a second thought about it. You thought you had so much time to think about it. But in the end, all time is finite. This one is very different than our last one, as we met our girl again, and she really does feel like a Grim Reaper character. One wanting to help people pass on. But time and time again, people never think through their actions, and fail to find peace. And that about does it for this video. If you have any other ideas like Saki made to a video, then please post it down in the comments below, and we'll add it to our next viewer request week.
It's now time for the part of the show where we ask you to help us appease the YouTube algorithm by dropping a like, share, or comment. It helps out much more than you'd think.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, then it's very much appreciated. And if you'd like to support this channel, then please visit our Patreon. Link will be down in the description below. Even if you can't give a lot, every little bit helps. Oh, we also started up a Let's Play channel. So if you want to see us try out some horror games, then feel free to stop on by. Link will be in the card as well as in the description. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Anyway, I'm Runya.
And I'm Ada.
Remind you to take life in moderation.
Weep not, poor children, for life is this way, murdering beauty and passion. Hush now, dear children, it must be this way, to weary of life and deceptions. Rest now, my children.